The following may contain language that is not suitable for all audiences. I just want to say that we probably recorded another podcast that was pretty decent. And due to our sound engineer, producer, recorder, whatever.
I don't think I deserve that title anymore.
It was erased.
Good Lord.
But
so we're gonna do the same.
No, we can't. We can't. This is like we're like Bonnie Hunt on the we're like Bonnie Hunt except for
Oh, I'm so annoyed. Bonnie Hunt?
Yeah, because she used to she most of the stuff that she used to do was improv.
Okay. Like on her show?
Well, not her talk show, but she was in sitcom type things, but they were improv.
Like what?
Like 30-minute comedy routine, not 30-minute shows, but it was all improv.
Really? I didn't think she'd been around that. I mean, true improv hasn't been around for a long time.
Well, I remember a show, I think it's on YouTube, and I can't even remember the name of the show, but it only lasted like maybe 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was improv.
Just live.
I don't know if it was live, but it was improvised. It was tape. They taped it for 30 minutes and it was improv. And she's had a couple of shows like that. But this one show that I'm thinking of was in the 80s, and I remember like the sound guys messed up or something, and they're supposed to clink glasses.
Uh-huh.
Her and her romantic interest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was out of sync. It was messed up, and they just kind of played off of it at the very end. And that's kind of like what we do. It's like we're really bad jazz. So, if you don't hit the record button...
I think I hit pause.
It's not like we can go back.
It was such a good episode.
Yeah, well, c'est la vie, que sera sera. But I will say this, because there was a question that I wanted to pose, and it was also a statement kind of going along the lines of living your best life or living a fulfilled life. I don't really like those terms.
What, because they're meaningless?
I think they have been rendered meaningless. Oh, excuse me.
Dave was up early this morning.
To a certain extent. But, the life you've got is the life you've got. And, you can say you're living your best life, which I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But even if you aren't, you're still living your life. So it's because I don't know what living your best life is supposed to mean.
It probably means like...
Now, are you, first of all, do you know what it means?
I have an idea of what I think it means.
Okay, I think we need to, when we're talking to each other, I think we need to at least put that out there.
Okay, so I think living your best life means giving 100%, like trying to better yourself, trying to make a change. Yeah, trying to be effective, trying to be better, trying to better yourself.
Yeah, see, you don't even know what that means. And it's okay. It's okay. I mean, your definition is as good as anybody else's in this room.
Rather than just say sitting around doing nothing.
Do you know how hard it is to sit around and do nothing? I personally think that's impossible.
Isn't that what we've been doing for the last year in this country?
No.
I mean, I haven't.
We've been prevented from doing many of the things that we'd like to do, but you can't. And this is going to sound really picayune and stupid, right? If you actually did nothing, you would probably starve to death and die.
Yeah.
So, we don't actually mean actually doing nothing.
I think I've been busier in this last year than I have been for the last decade.
And that's a good thing.
Well, that's actually an interesting topic, because I feel like I was talking to someone about this just this week, and she was saying that as a person that's been working through all this, that she feels like she's gotten some breaks and that she's doing better. in this last year than she was before this.
And that's the thing, this whole idea that we can all, like all of us, can get to a certain place. Everybody can be improved.
That would be nice.
It would be, but it's also, I think, a bit of a pipe dream. Unfortunately, in life, there's going to be people that get some breaks, and there are going to be people that don't.
Yeah.
And to sit there and talk about what's best for the majority, if I'm not in the majority, I really don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's always the argument that people use. Especially in terms of, I remember listening to something on NPR not too long ago, talking about, I guess the folks at the Capitol and the people that were unhappy about the election results,
mm-hmm.
and the people talking about majority rule this and that, were the same people yelling "Not my president" 4 years ago. Now, admittedly, 4 years ago, the person elected to the presidency didn't have the majority, the popular vote, but won the electoral votes, won the electoral college.
Yeah.
This time around, it seems a little different. It's supposedly a little different.
But he didn't get the majority of votes though.
Who?
Donald Trump. I mean, Didn't Joe Biden get more votes?
Well, that's what I'm saying. This time around, the person that won the electoral college also won the popular vote.
Yeah. Which is just astounding to me.
Yeah, well, that aside, we can talk about that right after this. But this whole idea that you wanted to that the people that didn't support Donald Trump wanted to claim some kind of illegitimacy because he didn't win the popular vote, in a situation where the popular vote was not determinative.
Right.
It's the electoral college vote, and I remember all the arguments that came out. Right. In the World Series, it's not who won the most runs. It's not the team that got the most runs, the highest scores. It's the team that won the most games.
Right.
And, I was just like, well, I personally didn't care back then. I don't care now.
You mean 4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago, I didn't care. I still don't care. I'm in terms of presidents and national elections, I'm really all about policy.
But that's what everyone should be, about policy.
Well, but that's not the way things are.
But what does the personality matter as long as there's good policy?
Well, a lot of people just really don't. I think a lot of people don't really care about outcome. They're more really into their personal feelings.
I don't know if that's true. I mean,
I think it is. I mean, there's a very large group that want to feel like they've been heard.
But what if, okay, so you're heard and then someone's like, okay, now I've heard you and now I'm going to go do this thing over here that has nothing to do with what you want.
Well, some people, it's kind of confusing because it doesn't seem like that would be the case. But, it just kind of observing, it seems like it is. For example, if you ask anybody, do you want a mechanic that kind of makes you feel good and is never able to fix your car? Or do you want a mechanic that's a jackass, but always fixes your car for a good price?
Uh-huh.
I didn't put that in. So do you want someone who makes you feel good, can never fix anything, always charges you, but you're always there giving this person money to not get your car fixed, but they make you feel good. They're good to talk to. It's just every interaction with them is great. You're like, oh wow.
Actually, I kind of have a mechanic like the other one you're talking about.
Or do you want to have a mechanic that's kind of curt, a bit of a jerk? Doesn't have any personal animus to you, but
I have a mechanic like
doesn't necessarily make you feel great.
And I don't particularly like going to see him.
But your car always gets fixed right, and it's pretty reasonable. Everyone would say, yeah, that's the guy. And it's like the old economics thing. Do you want $1 today or $1.10? Do you want $1 a week from now, or $1.10 to, you want $1 today or $1.10 tomorrow? In the hypothetical, everybody picks $1.10 tomorrow, but then they say, okay, well, do you want $1 now or do you want $1.10 tomorrow? Everybody takes the $1 now. And, their answer is, well, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But, there's always some kind of rationalization. But I do think it's very important. Affability, agreeableness is very important.
Yeah, but let's say that you have somebody like that who you always feel like you're being heard, but then they're disregarding what you're saying.
Well, I would think that people should stop listening to that person, but it seems, especially on the outside, right? If you're on the outside looking at a situation like that, you're always able to tell, oh, you weirdo, why are you falling for this? But then when you're in it, it kind of seems like everybody falls for it.
So, but if you fall for that, then I would say you then don't have any right to sit there down the track and be like, I can't believe this is happening, or I can't believe that all these things are happening that I didn't think was going to happen, and I'm really unhappy.
But that to me always seemed like the American public with politicians.
I'm going to lower taxes.
No, they lie to me, lie to me, lie to me. And the politician's like, okay. And then it comes out that the politician lied to you, and then the people that were sitting there going, lie to me, lie to me, lie to me, are like, oh my God, I don't believe you just lied to me.
That just makes me wonder about people.
Well, we're not as rational or as objective or as smart as we'd like to think we are, or maybe we're only like that if we're not in the situation.
Well,
I mean, it brought forth the philosophical question that I used to think of years ago.
And you don't call yourself a philosopher.
I'm just saying it's a philosophical question because I have no other way to categorize it.
All right.
And the question that I came up with that sometimes I would pose to people is, what if the whole world, or everyone you knew, or everyone you cared about, would have a super great life, according to whatever your definition of a super great life is, only because you had a super crappy one, and they would never know that you were the one taking the hit for them?
Oh.
Would you do it?
The never know part's the deal breaker for me.
Well, I think, but the funny thing is a lot of people, not a lot, I've only asked a couple of people that question, and most of them, a few, not a couple, more than a couple, I can't remember how many, it was a handful.
A majority, maybe?
I can't even, yeah, it seemed like it. It seemed like the majority of the people that I asked were all saying, yeah, I'd do that.
Lie.
And I'm just sitting there going, wow, these people are much kinder.
Oh, maybe they're not liars. I know what my answer is.
I know what my answer is too.
So
my answer is no.
I guess I'm just not as good as those people.
Well, not as I'm never going to be able to think of that word again. It's not esoteric, but not as
honest.
Nah, it's not even honest. No, like they're not as charitable or as selfless.
Oh yes.
Right.
But are they really selfless though?
Well,
because it seems to me that that's the answer you should give.
Kind of sitting around smoking and joking. I think it really doesn't matter whether or not you answer the question honestly or answer the question at all. It's just a question that I've had. But I just don't think anyone would actually do that. Because it's like the fear of death thing for me.
Yeah. I think it's good to ask philosophical questions, but is it reasonable to expect an honest answer from people?
Well, if there's going to be no honest answers, then I am going to pick up your age-old question, what's the point? If you're going to if you're going to have a philosophical or even an esoteric discussion, then honesty is kind of required.
Yeah.
And that's another thing,
It's hard to be honest, I think, though, even with yourself.
Even with the honesty, I was thinking about recruitment into the Central Intelligence Agency. Because they polygraph you and they ask you all these questions, and they don't want you to be honest.
And the answers?
Yeah.
Are they saying how good a liar you are?
Not necessarily. Well, that would probably be a prerequisite.
Yeah.
But...
Or if you're going to be in intelligence...
If you're going to be a spy. But I remember.
You'd be a terrible spy.
Yeah, because you don't want someone who's going to always be honest.
Oh, that just reminds me of, I was watching some stupid outtake with, I guess they were talking to Mark Hamill, and he was saying that him and Harrison Ford, they always knew the best way to get information out to everybody would be to tell Carrie Fisher. Would be like, hey Carrie, this is a secret, don't tell anybody.
And she would tell everybody.
If you wanted to get it out to people really quickly.
Yeah. I know several people like that. I haven't talked to most of them.
That made me chuckle.
Why? Because you're Carrie Fisher and that.
Yeah. God rest his soul.
But yeah, honesty is something that probably is a good thing, especially among journalists, lawyers. Funnily enough, I think lawyers are still below journalists in being trusted. According to a poll.
That makes no sense.
I wonder what the whole beef is from society.
Where did lawyers get such a bad rap?
Well, there was a Shakespeare play that said first kill all the lawyers.
Which one?
Oh, hell if I know.
What do you call 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of the sea?
A good start?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why lawyers get such a raw deal. Because there's plenty of lawyers that have done some pretty amazing things in history.
What do you call a redneck in the first grade?
I don't know.
Gifted.
Way to offend all our redneck listeners.
Well, seeing as I'm a redneck, I think I can poke fun at myself.
You get a pass.
I don't necessarily think. No, it's not a pass. It's I think that you should. I don't know. I think teasing people is fine as long as it's not done hurtfully.
You definitely have the redneck ticket, like a redneck pass.
But
I mean, you like listening to banjo music.
Which also reminded me, I recall conversations that we've had where I talk about how I don't really consider other people's intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Which is true. And I remember a conversation that you and I had with another friend, and they were like, "Oh, you don't think that other people are stupid?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And they're like, "Well, then you do think that other people's intelligence is important." I was like, "Well, I didn't feel like doing the merry-go-round, so I was like, okay, whatever." But I don't see how one affects the other. I mean, I can think other people are stupid. It doesn't necessarily mean that intelligence is important to me,
right?
Or that I think of myself in terms of others.
I think about intelligence
in the hierarchy. And the reason why I was thinking about that was because I tend to call people names. And in a hurtful way. I'm not talking about teasing my buddies.
Okay.
But if someone does something and I will essentially go for the thing that is most vulnerable in the other person. Like the thing that I think that person has got a chip on their shoulder about.
Uh-huh.
That's what I go after.
To them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I might have.
Like there might be a person who's not fat at all.
Uh-huh.
Or a little chubby.
Uh-huh.
Who is really sore about that.
Uh-huh.
You get me pissed off, I'm gonna call you fat ass till the cows come home.
Oh.
Or a person who.
But you don't do it very often.
Well, I try not to. I mean,
it's mostly when somebody's like you're at the end of your tether, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's not very good either. But I do that with intelligence too. Like I might not think that another person is stupid at all.
But you call them stupid if you think it's going to get it.
Yeah.
In their kitchen.
Exactly.
You're such a.
I am. And people can do it to me. I mean, they can call me short and fat till the cows come home. Those are.
I've never seen anybody call you short or fat.
To my face?
Yeah.
Me neither.
Funny though.
But that's that. If I had a kitchen, that's how you'd probably get into my kitchen. But I'm like, well, I am short, I am fat, so kind of calling me that's really.
So it really wouldn't get in your kitchen, then, is what you're saying.
Well, I have no place in that kitchen.
It's really no fun trying to insult you.
I've
tried to insult you before.
Well, because I have no place in that kitchen.
And you're just like, yeah. I'm just like, no fun.
Well, you also.
I have some other friends that where it's like you totally get a reaction, and I'm like, well, that's what I was looking for.
Well, the crowd that I used to run with in my youth were renowned for constant teasing. So
I thought my crowd was too until I met you, and then I'm like, nope.
But the funny thing about my crowd that would constantly tease you, talk about your sexuality, your ancestry, the purity of your mother, your intelligence, your eyesight, your taste. I mean, they were brutal. But if the shit hit the fan, and I did stuff, the leap before you look type thing that I'm apt to do. You know something funny?
They were right there behind you.
They were.
Or with you.
They weren't. They were right there.
Not even a question, huh?
Yeah, it was almost like having brothers.
Oh man, I wish I'd had that.
The fictional tale about the brothers, or and apparently that's why a lot of people join gangs.
That makes sense.
The ones that aren't like forced into it, because I think a lot of people forced into it.
Right.
With it, I guess. But the people that are drawn toward it is to have that mutual protection, and that's kind of what society is based on, right? Mutual protection.
But I think it's hard to find now, which is probably why people go to the gangs.
It's hard to find in certain areas, and I think that conversation is way too involved to keep on going.
All right.
On this recording.
Let's hope I recorded it right this time.